and welcome to BCN News. Leading our bulletin tonight, the trial of the shooting incident in Tuapa involving the two men got underway in the Niue High Court. The man who lives in Tuapa gave evidence in court before Chief Judge Craig Coxhead. The incident happened on Saturday night, 9th June 2018, which started with an altercation between two men at the Alofi Rugby Club. This was then followed by a car chase from Alofi to Tuapa, where the shooting incident took place. During the trial, the court heard that the man was at the Alofi Rugby Club on the night and had been consuming alcohol. He confirms he had met and spoke to the accused and another outside the club. He says he went to drop off two people at Fualahi on the night, and as he drove out of Fualahi, there was a roadblock with two vehicles parked in the middle of the road with their lights on full beam just outside the Environment Office. He says he was afraid when he saw the two cars on the road and didn't know what was happening, so he didn't get out of his car. He claims that the man he had spoken to at the club got out of his car with a steel baseball bat. He then swerved his vehicle to the side to drive to Alofi when the man struck the front part of his car with the baseball bat. He says he then drove off, and on his way up to Makefu, he noticed the vehicle was following him. He claims the vehicle followed him right into his property where the vehicle rammed into the back of his car. He claims the man got out of the car and challenged him to a fight, adding that he could see the man was angry and that the man would beat him up. He says he got out of his vehicle and told the court he was scared and was worried about his family who were inside the house. He then went to the back of his house and got a bush knife, and when he came around to the front, the man's car had reversed to the church building and sped towards him. He says he dodged and struck the windshield with a bush knife. The car drove off to a nearby area in the village. He says he then went to the next door house, which is vacant, and got a firearm and fired a shot into the sky to scare the attacker away. He says the vehicle of the attacker then drove towards him and shot him, in which he got wounded. The court heard that a total of 3 gunshots were fired by him that night, while the attacker fired 4 gunshots at him. At this stage, he says he was lying on the ground and he heard the car speed off. He says he laid there for a while and made his way into the house bleeding. The court heard that his mother-in-law and 7-year-old daughter were both crying when they saw his condition. His mother-in-law then drove him to hospital. He told the court some of the pallets were removed while some still remain in his body, which has affected his everyday activities, and he still lives in pain today. The man was then cross-examined by the defense lawyer and also the police prosecutor, questioning him as to why he didn't report the matter to the police. The man claimed he didn't see the door of the police station open when he drove past on his way to Tuapa and assumed there was no one on duty. The lawyer pointed out that the man started the shooting incident by firing the first shot with the intention of causing harm. The man maintained that his only intention of firing the first shot was to scare them away from his property. A man from Hakupu involved in a shooting incident at Tuapa has today been found guilty by the Niue High Court. Chief Judge Craig Coxhead delivered his decision this afternoon. Chief Judge Craig Coxhead found the man guilty to charges relating to possession and firing of firearms and traffic offences. After considering the evidence presented in court yesterday, the judge stated it was clear that there was a dispute between the two men and it was serious enough to cause the man from Hakupu to follow the other man to Tuapa where the matter escalated. The judge said that the man from Tuapa was wounded on the left side of his body from the gunshots fired by the man from Hakupu. A prison sentence was not given by the judge, who instead handed down a community-based sentence of 12 months. The judge also stated that the man in Tuapa was clearly scared not only for himself but also for his family, adding that he found his self-defense was reasonable and found him not guilty on all counts. The mitigating factors were presented by the man's lawyer, who told the chief judge that the man has a partner and 2 children to look after, and a prison sentence would bring them financial difficulties. The lawyer told the court that there's also been reconciliation between the two families and the village communities of Hakupu and Tuapa. The man also has to pay a fine of $300 for the traffic offences and failing to have registration for possession of firearms. And following the Asian Development Bank's approval of Niue as an official member, the Premier, Sir Toke Talangi, says he is very pleased that finally the Niuean government has achieved this historical milestone for the people of Niue. He says he is a very proud Premier to be part of this. Sir Talangi says the fact that Niue is a member of ADB, which was confirmed by law in the Assembly, does not mean the government will rush to borrow funds. He says it is government's belief, which formed the basis of their discussions with the ADB Board of Governors, that they need technical and projects advice so that they can then look to borrow if they need to. ADB also has many technical experts who can assist. The Premier stated Niue is small, but requirements and management of Niue's resources, whether finance, economy, social services and the taonga, is important. And that's all we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.